Let's look back on the teams that lost this last weekend. I asked this yesterday. The team that lost in the playoffs that has the best chance of advancing further next year. The Patriots won our poll question. I want to know if you agree with that they have the better chance of all these teams of going further next year.
Well, if you're saying the Patriots, then obviously you believe in Mac Jones, which I do. I think he was really the steal of the draft to get a franchise quarterback with that much upside. I think he was drafted at 15. You must really believe in him, number one. Two, you must think that they're going to get a lot more athletic and a lot faster on defense. Because if you saw the difference between the Bills and the Patriots, the speed factor was a glaring difference.
Wow.
I don't know if they're going to do that, so I'm not going to say the Patriots. I would probably say the Cowboys, and everybody's going to say, well, are they changing coaches? Are they changing this? Are they changing that? They're probably not based on the reports that have come out, but they're just so talented. And it's one of the reasons why they're the most disappointing team this season.
Would you change coaches, though, Booger?
No, I wouldn't, because at some point you have to have continuity to continue to climb the mountain. Changing coaches is not going to do anything but solve the moment. It doesn't solve the problem of the discipline of the players. And so, yeah, we can change coaches, and as fans and broadcasters and people who have shows, it gives us good fodder. But at the end of the day, does that make your team better? The problem with the Cowboys is not the coach. The problem is the coach, I don't think, is empowered to the level that a coach needs to be because of the owner, the GM, the family that owns the Cowboys. And so you run into that situation where you can change the coach and you can bring in this tough disciplinarian, Jimmy Johnson, and that of the likes. But we saw how it ended with Jimmy Johnson, because Jimmy Johnson, the disciplinarian, the guy who runs the show, ultimately got a little bit more shine than the owner, and we all know he didn't like that.
If Jerry Jones had hired a GM, a true GM, 20 years ago, finish that sentence.
Then the Cowboys would probably have 2 to 3 more rings, and Jerry Jones would not be as popular as he is now. But I do think the value of the Cowboys franchise would be at the very minimum where it's at now. So this doesn't necessarily come down to how do I make my business better? Like, I always look at NFL teams like businesses, like Chick-fil-A or Bank of America or some corporate company. How do we make them better? This isn't about that, because the Cowboys are the preeminent franchise when it comes to value and worth and how we look at them. This is about one thing, Dan. This is about control. Hey, this is my team. I'm going to run it my way and do what with it how I please. And when you're a billionaire, I'm assuming, I wouldn't know that, maybe you can tell me, you get to do what it is that you like to do with your $1 billion. And Jerry's doing that. So, Dan, considering the fact that there are 2 of us on this call and one of us is a billionaire, you tell me, how do billionaires treat their money?
I just keep all of it to myself. Very, very cautious in what I do. But Jerry's ego, like, he wants getting the credit is so important for him.
Yeah.
And as a result, he doesn't see what the bottom line could be, and that is we could be winning championships. And I know that they've done well in the draft. Micah Parsons fell to them. I don't know if they wanted him. I thought that he was the impactful player in the draft. They didn't want Dak Prescott. They wanted Connor Cook. Jerry wanted Johnny Manziel. Like, there are these moments where they have benefited, but it's not by design.
You're right. They've benefited. And, Jerry, ultimately, I think Steven has been good for Jerry, because I think Steven has given him a little bit of balance. We all know who Jerry liked. And thankfully, Steven's there to say, hey, I know you like this guy. Quite frankly, you like everybody, but we can't draft them all. How's this going to make our team better? So I give Steven a lot of credit. I give Will McClay, I give him a lot of credit also, a guy in their personnel department who helps. But Jerry has to be reined in and told no. I'm sure Jeff Bezos has to be reined in and told no at some point. Like, when you reach a certain level of monetary value and economic status, you have to have people in your life that are willing to say no, not just yes men.
Yeah.
And I think over the course of years, Steven has been developed, or he's developed to be that. I just think Jerry ultimately has the final say so. And until he relinquishes that part of the general manager hat, then I think the Cowboys are going to be in a position, because you know as well as I know, a team that's the most penalized team in the league, that is a reflection of the coach. Well, that means you need a tougher coach. That means you need a coach that's going to emphasize, because you are what you emphasize, no different in life. And so Mike McCarthy has to change personality-wise, but guess what? He's the exact personality that Jerry wants, because he can. And I'm not saying that he's Jerry's telling Mike what to do and what to say at practice, but ultimately Jerry knows that Mike can kind of beat to the drum that he says beat to.